Do you hate your parents? Well, some people do, some people don't, but we're going to talk about parenting and we're going to unpack the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. So, why don't you
Take it from us.
Do do do, boom boom, boom boom boom, do do dum 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 dum, do do dum dum dum. Actually, I was
Wow.
thinking of
Okay,
Gru's
sick.
song, but I was trying not to make it sound like Gru's song. So I tried to like make it a bit more upbeat. I was like,
Wait, so that's from Despicable Me.
no, I haven't watched Despicable Me 4, but I
Same.
keep seeing the TikToks all over it, like the I'm having a bad day.
Day.
But I'm trying to like, yeah.
Wait. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe
All I see in Despicable Me 4 is Gru trying to be a good dad to
Yeah.
the little devil.
The little
Yeah,
one,
yeah, to the little one.
And he has 3 daughters, right?
Yeah, adopted daughters. Yeah.
But I don't remember the names, but they're all so cute and they all have like their own.
Margot.
Oh yes,
Edith,
Edith.
Agnes.
Wow. Okay, he a minion stan.
Let's go. I
Minions
know my
forever.
Despicable Me's. Yes.
OT3.
But I mean, like it's very cute. It's very cute to see, like, because I saw a TikTok where Agnes ran to Gru's brother, who I think is Drew, and then after that, like the rest of his kids went to Gru.
Gru,
So
yes.
it's very interesting because you get to see like who serves as the first parent figure for all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think actually a lot of people have that like that thought of like not like you love both of your parents, but it's like you have one that I guess you're a bit more closer to, or you view
It's
more
like favorite
in
parent
a,
and favorite child lah,
yeah, a bit of a higher perspective. Are you the favorite child?
I would think I'm my mom's favorite, and then my sister is my dad's favorite.
Okay.
I think. But I'm like
Auntie and uncle, please verify.
my
Right, tell us
grandma's
in the comments.
are my grandma's favorite. That's
Really?
like a guarantee.
Okay.
Yeah.
How come? How do you know that?
My sister.
How do you know that?
I mean, it's just in the way that they show affection to me. Like
You
they
know
show
why?
concern.
It's because you're the youngest. It's because you're the youngest. You're the baby of the
yeah.
family.
I do also think that there's some Asian stereotypes in there, in that maybe I'm the male of the family. And then and
Okay.
then like them being very traditional folks. Well, Asian grandmas typically favor boys
The
to the girl.
boys.
Yeah.
Okay. Does
But
she like cut fruit up for you, that sort of thing?
She would if she can like stand for a long time.
Oh, yeah,
and, like,
yeah.
But yeah lah. I mean they're both just sweet old ladies lah. But going back to the parents, I think over time, even though like I'm my mom's favorite, and then my dad's favorite, like my dad's favorite is my sister.
Yeah.
Whoa, both of us did not give them a good time.
Really?
Like growing up. Yeah,
Really?
we was-
Okay,
we
let's talk about that. Tell me what you did. Tell me what you did, or rather maybe what you've done and perhaps how they were like parenting you, and then maybe was that like a good or bad thing, or like was it maybe their reaction, to being a parent. I think also but just to start off, like I think first time,
Yeah.
just to disclaim that like everyone's a first time parent.
Yeah.
So I think like at the end of the day, we also can't really judge.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah,
we
yeah,
are not
yeah.
qualified. We're not
Yeah.
like, I don't know,
Definitely
parent
not.
experts.
Definitely not. I am not with child. She is not with child.
We're not like,
We hope.
parenting.
Yeah.
Whoa, we're
Yeah.
not like parenting experts, or like, like we have like psychology degree and whatever.
Yeah,
no.
no,
We're just
no,
like
no.
sharing our experiences.
Yeah, we're just shit talking at this point. But
But okay. Tell us about how you felt like you were parented and what that was like for you.
okay, I think growing up, it's quite funny because in the starting part of my years on this planet, I felt like, or I was told that I was a very good kid. So there wasn't really much to parent anyway. Like
Okay.
there wasn't. All my parents needed to do was just like say one thing, and okay, I'll stop doing whatever they
Really?
want me to stop doing. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just a very obedient, good boy, right? As plain as it was.
Okay.
But then growing up, I went into this rebellious phase. Also went into this phase of fighting a lot with my older sister. So that spanned, I think, probably a decade. So can you
Wow,
imagine a
okay.
decade of stress that my parents had to deal with?
I
So
can imagine. Yeah.
that evolved into them going from less gentle parenting into more strict parenting from my dad, in that he was very like, do this and not this, and like you better do as I say, I'm your father, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then my mom was more it's like good cop, bad cop. So
Okay,
my dad
okay.
was the bad cop, and then my mom was the good cop, in that she would really like take the time to explain to me why certain things are wrong, why you can't do this, can't do that, and like why is it not good to fight with your sister, all of that. So all the explanations, the patience came from her.
Okay.
But my dad was very like this or this, right?
Right,
Very
like black or
decisive.
white. Yeah,
black
yeah.
or white, that's the word. Then I felt like growing up, because I was a very disobedient kid, very rebellious, very naughty, things didn't really go my way for my dad because
Okay.
his way of strict parenting didn't resonate well with me. And
Okay.
so it wasn't a case of me dealing with black or white. It was me just saying my way or the highway.
But when you say strict parenting, how strict was it? Or do you have like example of like, or maybe what you felt was strict and he felt like, no, that's like the correct way to raise a child?
I felt like it was things that was founded on very traditional Asian values. One
Okay.
being like respecting your elders. That's what like respect for your elders is something that they harp on a lot. You should be listening to me just because I'm your father.
Because I'm a parent.
Or just
yeah.
because I'm your mother,
Oh,
So,
yeah. I think that's a normal or a common card to play. Like,
Yeah.
like, listen to me. Why? Because I'm your dad or I'm your mom. Like, you
but
have
even
to listen to me. Yeah.
correct. But even though it's common, I don't resonate with that. And I
Okay.
really didn't like that reasoning. It's
Okay.
like, why do I need to keep my door open, for instance,
Okay.
just because I told you so? And that's the
Right,
kind
yeah.
of reasoning that I kept getting. And it was very frustrating to get because I just didn't understand the rationale behind it. And they wouldn't take the time to tell me, or at least my dad didn't. And it's funny because like back in the day, every single time I kept asking him why, and that really pissed him off. So then we just go into debates that really didn't go anywhere. But then
It's just for the sake of arguing that you're
correct.
arguing, right?
Then,
yeah.
then for my mom, it was like she really took the time to explain to me why. But because I was so stubborn, she had to go to great lengths and just had like just boundless patience to deal with a kid that just wouldn't shut up. Yeah. So
Very stubborn.
yeah. So moving forward from that, I mean, I also got caned before.
Oh, yeah, me
So
too.
I don't know if that's just an Asian thing, or like Asian household thing, or just a naughty boy thing. But it's funny because I remember one time I got so fed up with the cane that I knew where it was placed. I took
yeah.
it, I broke it, I threw it in the trash. And I felt so smug after that. Can you imagine a
Yeah,
kid
yeah.
who's no taller than your like dinner table?
Yeah.
Who like broke the cane, threw it away.
He was
And
like,
then after that,
y'all ain't getting me
yeah,
now.
I'm like, think again. Yeah? Okay, but then fast forward like I don't know, like weeks, months or years, I remember asking my parents about this, like, do you know that I took the cane and I threw it away?
Yeah.
Because like I never saw a cane after that.
Right.
Then they were like, yeah, we knew.
Oh,
So then that got me thinking like, really?
So,
Because
like-
that was never addressed. Are you sure?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah,
were
but
like,
yeah.
thoughts on that.
Like,
right.
Okay, but anyway, yeah. So they got rid of the cane. They realized that was a stupid idea. I hope. Then after that, it's funny because as I matured, as I got out of that rebellious phase, they started realizing that okay, I'm more sensible now. I'm more mature. I can be talked to.
Okay.
So they start to go from a different approach. My mom still worries, still nags at me a lot, but my dad now opens up quite a fair bit and
Okay.
talks to me like I'm an adult. Like you know what the
Yeah.
hell you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what the consequences are.
Yeah.
As long as it's not dangerous to you, your health, I'm not gonna say anything. You go and do you. Because
Okay.
he realized like I think over time also his patience got so tested that it's like the moment I refute,
Yeah.
he's just not
He's
gonna
like,
say
whatever,
anything.
yeah,
You go and
yeah.
learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
I'm appreciative for because I rather learn the hard way because that would stick with me more personally.
Okay.
But my mom, on the other hand, is still very much protective
Yeah.
and wants to shelter me quite a bit, which like I'm grateful for because it shows love, care, and concern. But you're not letting me try. You know, it like you're
Okay.
holding me back from trying.
I guess it
So-
depends on what you're talking about, right? Like there's certain experiences I don't think they would want you to try anyway.
True,
To try and
true.
learn the hard way, right?
True,
Like, 'cause,
true.
as a parent, you want to care for your child. I would hope so, at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, they would just be like, "Hey, don't do it." But if you're hell bent on doing it, well,
Yeah,
beats
exactly.
me. Like, I
But-
can't do much.
Exactly. So, but that is my whole law of me growing up being parented in different ways. But I do think that the good that came out of it was I now become more patient or tolerant and understanding and communicative with people when it comes to addressing what I want, what I think is good for me, and how can other people deal with me in certain periods of time. Because that's how my mom used to communicate or is communicating with me. And then when it comes to my dad, I think the good thing that I learned is knowing when to step back and just giving people the space that they need. Not even just your children, but just the space that people in general, the space that they need to go and exercise their ideas.
Okay.
And then after that, when you know it's a bad one and you know it's gonna fail, you just let them fail and just be
Okay.
there for them, show up when it's needed.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting that you say that because I mean, just from your sharing, it sounds like
Yeah.
you guys went through some tumultuous times, you know, or it's a bit maybe not tumultuous.
Well,
but
I
it's a
mean, I
bit
created
more...
the waves, I created the tsunami, So
Okay, so now
on
you
me.
recognize that
Yeah.
it was you.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, two hands a clap in a way, like it's also just their style.
Yeah.
But you say that you're more communicative now, just because based on what I guess the love and how your mom treated you. Then now you feel like okay, there's a need, or you feel like it's good that you should be communicative. Because growing up, you said you didn't really communicate, or you were just very stubborn in your ways.
I was just very stubborn. So it was just like
Okay,
my way,
okay.
my way, my way, all the
Okay.
way, So it was
Okay.
just, there was no like perspective, there was no trying to understand someone else.
Right,
There was no
right.
trying to understand. It was always focused on the rationale.
Yeah.
But now I understand like, okay, I should care about people's feelings more. I am talking to a
Okay.
human being after all.
Okay.
Yeah.
100%. Like good to
Yeah,
remember.
yeah.
Okay, so that's the good from both of
Yeah.
them. And how do you think that you'll carry that like forward in your life?
How do I think I carry that forward? When it comes to my partner, I guess, relationship wise,
Okay.
just knowing how to be there for someone is something that I've seen my mom do for me.
Okay.
And like just having the heart, the patience to deal with people in general is also
Yeah.
something that I've gleaned. And it's also something that I try to exercise. So, like, when it comes to kids, especially because I work with kids, I have my own style of communicating with kids,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But when it comes to when they do certain stupid things or like things that really just test my patience, then I remember like, okay,
Just thinking.
you know what? I used to be that. How did my mom do it?
Okay.
Sayang a bit.
Ah.
Okay, can.
Hashtag
I can try.
empath moment.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
trying to like empathize with them.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But so that's me. So that's the good things that I've gleaned. We can talk more about the bad things later, but I'm interested to hear your law.
Okay. I think mine is, I would say mine was honestly really good, like overall. I'm very blessed to have come from a family that's very focused on family itself. So growing up, and I'm the oldest child.
Yep.
So to preface it first, I'm the oldest child. So a lot of things is like, I'm their like first time trying. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
trying to figure
You're
out
the
like, how to
guinea pig,
parent.
lah.
Yeah, correct,
Yeah.
and all of that. So growing up, and also I'm like a girl, so I do think that obviously they are a bit more protective in that sense. But growing up, I was only child for like 7 years, so that was all fine and dandy. I wouldn't say I got my way, but I was a very like I was quite a quiet, like timid child, or I wouldn't really
Unheard of.
like I wouldn't really like like fight back or anything. I just feel like, oh, okay, like if they said it, they said it. Then I just move on with my life. And to be fair, I also didn't do anything like dangerous or put myself in that situation. So I just
We're so different.
I just lived my life like just happily, in the fields and stuff. I did get caned like once. I think I got caned a few times, but like the only one that I remember is when I was 5.
Yep.
Went to Briscoe's. If you know Briscoe's, you know Briscoe's, and it's like it's basically like an IKEA, but not.
Oh,
not as
okay.
not as ups as IKEA, but it's
Yep.
like got all the home appliances and stuff, and they have a midnight sale every few months or so. So my parents wanted to go to this midnight sale. I was playing with my toys, and I was like, I don't want to go. And they were like, no, you're going to go. Like, clean up your toys. We need to all go to, because I'm the only child as well
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
time. Had to like bring me there, right? And I
Yes.
was like, I'm not cleaning up my toys.
Nah.
And they were like, they were like,
Nah.
no, who do you think you are? Like, of course you're cleaning up your toys. And both my mom and dad are very particular about being clean. Like, they're very particular about being clean, about being organized. Everything has its own space. And they're very like, my mom always likes to, she likes to say this thing called seng mok, which is a Cantonese phrase for saying like, basically use your head and like do things properly.
Real.
So when you do things,
Real.
you shouldn't do things like half-heartedly.
Yeah.
You should follow through. So
Yeah.
for example, let's say you're like boiling water in the kitchen, right?
Yes.
You let the water boil, then you just leave it there. That's not saying mok of you. You gotta like finish up the job properly before you move on to something else. Or like don't get distracted and then leave it like half-assed, like halfway. So she was like, hello, use that brain of yours
Yeah.
and like clean up your toys. Like that's the only way.
You gotta
like,
be
okay,
you gotta be very mindful.
yeah,
very demure.
correct. Of course, yeah. So it's like, pick up your toys and do what you need to do.
Yep.
And so then I decided not to, and then so they caned me. And then I pick up my toys and I go to Briscoe's. End of story, that's it. But yeah, that was like I think the last time that they caned me actually. After that, went through puberty, so I had a lot of mood swings and shit. I was just cranky and moody for like a good like period, maybe like I don't know, maybe a year or so. I was really like quite moody, quite cranky. I don't know how my parents dealt with me. I still remember like me throwing like mood tantrums and just me like sulking at the back of the car, refusing to talk to people, that sort of thing. But then after that, as I grew up, again, maybe the privilege of being a first child is also you get to try things out yourself.
Yep.
So you also get to kind of like test the waters a little bit. And so I would, go out with my friends and stuff and all of that. But they've never really like restricted me from doing anything. They were very much like, okay, you go and try, but you have to know like what you're doing and you have to like take control of that situation. Like you can't be doing it because your friends are forcing you to, or like don't go into it blind, basically.
Yep.
Yeah. So things like, I mean, everything from like, let's say like doing school stuff or like paying for like exchange or like paying for things, for example. They like trust me with it. They're like, okay, you research, you go and do what the hell you need to do. But when you come back to us, like, okay, come back with all the information or like know what you're doing before
Yes.
you like sign up and say yes
Yep.
to that. So I think their type of parenting is really just let me do it.
Yeah.
But they will be there for me like throughout, and I think they're also very open to me like trying new things. So it's kind of like I'm still there, but like on a fishing line, like on a fishing rod. Like they can still reel me in at any time, but like I'm still like swimming outside, like trying to like, oh, what's going on? Okay, but there's certain times where I think they're a bit more protective, just because again I'm the only like daughter that they have as well. So I think in certain situations they'll just be like, don't do that, or like, or like for example when I first met my boyfriend and everything, obviously they wanted to like meet him first too, to like suss him out, that sort of thing. Yeah, but I think in general their parenting has just been a very like there for me, throughout all of it. So I wouldn't say
That's good. That's good.
I wouldn't say I have very like I really have a very good childhood. And I don't think I had very much of a drastic change. I think how they parent between me and my brothers is different. I will say that. I think just because also growing up in different countries, so the way that you parent is a little bit different. We can talk about parenting styles in a bit. But so because of that, I will say the good that I guess I've learned from it all is how to balance between like letting your child like figure shit out, but also being the parent still, because you also can't treat a child like they're an adult when they're only like 10, right?
Actually, I got contrasting views.
Okay.
I do feel like it helps to talk to a child like he's an adult, because it gives him the independence, the sense of independence, the sense of understanding fully what he's doing. And if he doesn't, then that's how you guide him towards thinking like an adult. So you treat...
But they're only
naturally-
10.
But naturally, you treat them with more respect. Like I feel, okay, this is just from my experience. Like when I talk to a kid at my work, and like they're being naughty, and I look at them and I say like, hey, we need to get the class started now. I need you to wear your shoes. Can you do that for me?
Yeah.
And you empower them in that way. It's like speaking to an adult, It's
No, but you see this, I think there's a difference between like speaking to them, not as an adult, as just as a person, rather than, oh, you're 10, you can't do shit by yourself.
Okay.
But speaking as an adult, to me, as in how I interpret it, it's just you being like, here, sit down, let's think about like everything and like talk through everything. Your child's gonna sit there and talk you through like
finances.
Yeah,
like, let's
no,
talk
not
about
just
bills.
finances, but even like reasoning itself.
Yeah.
Like
true.
reasoning.
Okay.
Sometimes you also don't have you just don't have the time, nor like you can't reason with every child. If a child is
Fair.
super stubborn, even if you sit down and you say, case in point. No, even if you sit down and you reason with them and you're like, hey, like I need you to do this because so and so reason, they're just like, no, then what?
True. Okay. Okay.
So I think it's but every child is different, right? So it's just how you maintain that balance, and I think that's what I learned from them, to be empathetic enough, but also to like know when to reel it in and be like, hey, not saying I play the parent card, but more of just like, hey, I'm the older one in the situation. I have more wisdom and experience in this regard. Here's what I think you can do, but you take with it what you will, but presenting it in a very like respectful manner as well. But I also think shout out to my dad as well, all love. He and I are very, very similar. Like we both emotional people. We're both the more like high strung emotional. We'll talk whenever we fight. We always like raise our voice, and we're always raising our voice at each other. But my mom is the more like calm one, the more like, okay guys, like figure shit out, like think it through, So I think shout out to my dad and I, that our relationship I think has definitely progressed over the few years, that we've learned how to talk to each other, which is something that I appreciate, and I think I also learned that from him as well, because I see myself in him. So I'm like, okay, I know how to do it, or at least I know what that's like, and then how I can now be better at it, or at least communicate in a proper way, because at the end of the day, we're all first-time parents. We're all just trying our best, in this world.
Okay, so now that's the good side of the house.
Yes.
Considering what you said,
Yeah.
and seeing as you had, quote unquote, a good childhood.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to see what's the downside of their parenting in this regard. So
Yeah,
what's
me too.
what?
As in, I
Cut.
no, as in, I think there's definitely certain things that I don't necessarily agree with. One being, I think that because I am their oldest daughter, they can be quite protective at certain times, and I think sometimes to me, because then again they're so free in other aspects. So to me, it's like, why are
Yep.
you just shutting down on this one aspect, that sort of thing. So things like maybe like, let's say, okay, like flying for exchange, for example,
Okay.
basically following me for the exchange. And I'm like, I love you guys, but I don't need you to follow me. And then I know it comes from a place of concern. I know it really does. I know
Yep.
it's really just out of love. My mom is like scared I'll be homeless during exchange because like I shot and there's no house there, like scam. But like to me, it's like, no, I should just try it by myself, and I will figure shit out, and I have faith in the world and faith in God and faith in my planning that I will get there and I'll get there safely, that sort of thing. But it's stuff like that. Then I'm a bit like, are you being overbearing, or is it like too much? Yeah, I that's why I say I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. It's more of just like what I don't even know how I think about it, to be honest. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, like I get where they're coming from. Like, would I do that too? Maybe. Other times I'm like, girl, I'm like, guys, like calm down. It's not
Take
the
a
end
chill
of the world.
pill.
Yeah,
Step aside.
like
Well, okay.
correct. Like it's not
Yeah.
the end of the world. Like
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
22. Like get
Yeah.
that. And sometimes I think to myself like, wow, 22. People my age are like buying houses and like living by themselves, having a big girl job, that sort of thing. And other times I'm like, wow, 22. I'm still so young.
Yeah.
And like I get
Yeah.
why my parents are like still like sheltering me in a sense. Yeah. So, which is why, yeah. So their freedom comes in other aspects. Some aspects not so much. And like even like yeah, just things like that I feel would be good big steps for me to take.
Yes.
They'll be like, take it in a smaller step. And I'm like, I don't really want to, that sort of
okay,
thing. Yeah.
okay.
So maybe that's something that as a parent in the future I would think I would give it a bit more consideration, or at least figure out maybe, okay, is this the best way to do it for my child? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Yeah. But that for me, I think it's just the thing that at least the first thing that really comes to mind when I
Yep.
think about, okay, what I would change about my family's parenting style. Yeah. Other than that, no, I love our we have like family dinners. We always prioritize that
That's
and
nice.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's my take on it, at least.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What about yours?
For me, I think it's more so from my mom's side. So
Okay.
while she's a great empath, always puts the family first, always prioritizes harmony, I do think she can be quite the worrier and
Okay.
quite overprotective.
Yeah.
And I think that is what I've gotten from her, aside from my eczema. But yeah, but I feel like I worry quite a fair bit about a lot of things,
Okay.
everything in general.
Oh, okay.
Like stuff from the house, like if let's say they're not at home, I'm gonna make sure like every single light is off, everything's off, all
Okay.
good,
Okay. It's a good habit though.
It is, but like if it starts to weigh on your mind and starts to affect your life as a result, it doesn't.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not
I
that
get
good
it.
of a habit. Beyond that, also, it's just worrying about people or worrying about the people that I care for specifically. So, like, if it comes to partners, like my partners, last time I used to be quite clingy, quite worrisome about where they be, if they're okay, etc., etc.
Okay.
And then after that, it translates to overprotection. So
Okay.
in a sense of like, I would have my opinion of something that my partner does that I feel maybe is unsafe for her or maybe not right,
Yeah.
and I would say that out loud repeatedly, like just to make sure the point gets across. Like, are you
Okay.
sure that this is the right
Right.
thing to do? Are you sure that this is safe for you?
They would get like annoyed.
They
and a
would.
bit-
Yeah.
Okay.
So but I have since grown out of it, and I recognize that is not something that's potentially desirable. So you snap out of it. But the fact that it was even cultivated in me in the first place just goes to show that environment does play a part, that parenting does play a part. That's the bad stuff that I've gotten, and it's hard to fight against it because you're dealing with it on a daily basis. You're exposed to it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of how do you snap out of it, and then goes on to the question of like, how do you stop the bad stuff from happening? So for me now is just, I had quite a number of deep chats with my mom,
Yeah.
going into great length about the way she parents, the way I wish to be parented
Okay.
at every stage of my life. And the most recent conversation that I had, I told her just to talk to me like a friend. Like
Okay,
as
yeah.
much as I understand that you guys are my mom and dad, and that yes, I respect you just because you're my mom and dad. But I also respect you because you guys have gone great lengths to raise me. And the fact that you put in so much time and effort garners that respect from me, and therefore I do listen to whatever you say. But when you say in a way that makes me feel like a kid, I don't feel respected. I don't feel like I'm given that space to grow, that freedom to grow. And I wish to have that space. As long as it's not gonna outright kill me, maybe hold it in, like rein it in,